Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Architect Podcast. I am your host, Mark R. LePage, and this is episode number 8. Like many architecture students, Brian Corcadillis and Vincent DeFazio had a dream of one day starting their own architectural design firm. But they didn't let the rules get in their way. While still attending Philadelphia University, Brian and Vince invited the top 10% of their class to join them, and they launched Designblendz LLC. Today, the multidisciplinary design firm serves architects and corporations throughout the United States. In this episode of the Entrepreneur Architect Podcast, Brian and Vincent, both recent graduates, share their story and talk about how they started their firm while still in school and how they grew Designblendz into a full-time business. I know you're going to learn a lot from these two guys. I hope you enjoy it. Here's the interview. Vincent and Brian, welcome to the Entrepreneur Architect Podcast.
How are you?
We're doing great. So there's two of you. So let's introduce who you are, what's your background, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing today. You want to
go ahead, Brian?
Brian, you start.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So my name is Brian Corcadillas. I recently graduated from a 5-year architecture degree from Philadelphia University. Essentially, right now, I own my own business called Designblendz LLC, and we actually kind of started as a collaborative while we were in, college, and that's kind of where I am today. I'm doing that full time, and our staff currently in the office consists of 2 interns, myself, and everybody else who kind of works remotely.
Okay, and Vincent?
All right, I'm Vince DeFazio, and I also graduated from Philadelphia University, 5-year architecture degree, and currently living in Pittsburgh, PA, working with a small company on architectural component research, and working remotely with Designblendz and Brian, mainly competition work and any other work we can get that can be done remotely.
Okay, so let's Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about Designblendz and how that came about,
Sure.
and where it started and how it evolved to where it is today.
Okay, so it actually started July 2011. It came up, it started as an idea. It was one night I was like, Vince, I called up my buddy Vince, and I was like, hey, why don't we start, an architecture or some sort of design blog. We wanted to start as a blog and start, because we love architecture, but we also love all the disciplines around the profession. We like industrial design, we like graphic design, we like fashion. So we were like, why don't we build a site dedicated to bringing all the latest news dedicated to those professions into one spot? And that's what we did, and we labeled it Designblendz. And we set it up.
Yep. I just wanted to interrupt real quick. You guys were still in school when you did this,
we were
right?
Still in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. What juniors?
Juniors, okay.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, we're going into our junior year, actually.
Okay.
So, so I said, okay, I got I had a web background coming out of high school. So I started getting a website going little by little. We got, Vince started writing because that's his specialty. Vince was, that's what he does. He's really good at that. And, we got it up and running. We made Facebook. We started getting into the social media, started acquiring followers to the site. And, then it just kind of started taking off from there. And, today, essentially, we're a full-service architectural consulting company that, works with other architecture firms. And this literally happened only over a 2-year time period while we were in school. But
so you guys recently graduated, right?
Yeah, we graduated in May 2013.
And so Designblendz now is your full-time work?
It's my full-time work, yep.
Yeah, okay. So how did it get from a blog to an architectural consulting company?
Sure. So essentially we got to a point, it's hard. It's really hard to keep going with a blog, keeping it fresh for your users every day. So there was actually a lull for a decent period of time, maybe about 6 or 7 months where we got busy in school with projects and everything. We just didn't have time. And then essentially we got it up and running the next beginning of summer, and we started up the blog again. We even got even more followers this time, because we were actually dedicating time to it. And then it got to a point where we actually tried to start making money off of, the blog itself. We went with Google AdSense and started making a couple dollars a day here and there, but, it adds up. And, we were just like, well, cool, we can make $30 a month. Or we're like, well, we're pretty good at, what we do in school, if not the best. Essentially, when we started the services part, we took the top 10% of our class, and I know that may sound arrogant, but it was a smart thing to do. We took the top 10% of our students in our class and turned it into a business. And we started with small architecture firms reaching out, hey, we can do renderings, and showing people our renderings, and they were like, wow, this is great. What will you do it for? And we start with low prices because, we're in college, we don't have any expenses. We're all on loan money, right? So, and, we just started building our reputation that way. And, okay, wow, these guys do great work here. I know another guy who has an architecture firm. He needs renderings or here and there. And, our website had so many followers too. So we had a lot of hits on Google. We're pretty, high ranked up in Google. And especially when we added the services side to that, with our renderings, our model building, and craft and website design, we started getting hits, and we started getting people requesting quotes from us. And probably the big project that set us up and put us on the map and allowed us to do what we're doing today is we got a model from New Jersey American Water. They pretty much operate 1/3 of the pipelines in New Jersey, but they hired us to create it's an educational model that they can kind of wheel around and bring from, classroom to convention and show people how the water, works in New Jersey. So there was a whole design scheme about that. And essentially it just kept growing, references here and there and marketing ourselves. And it was just, it's really a nonstop process.
Okay. So let's go. I want to go back a little bit and
Sure.
do a couple of things that you just said. You took the top 10% of your class
Mm-hmm.
and you started a business. I think that's
Yep.
brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So did you start this business knowing that the economy was terrible and that
Yep.
it was going to be really difficult to get jobs, and this was a strategy to make sure that you guys were employed? Or was this just something you love to do, and so you decided that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah. I mean, first thing, we would not have all been able to do this without loving what we do. I mean, the hours of spent time of web coding, of rendering, working sometimes on pennies on the dollar to do things, you do it because you love it. But also we knew it would also grow our portfolio. Everyone comes out of school, with, look at my project I did in my third year, look at my project I did in my second. I went to my career portfolio review with all professional work that I'd done for firms already. Didn't even show any of my schoolwork. I just advertised Designblendz itself. And so we that's it's more, we did it because we wanted to do it, and we were always our goal was all right, we want office in Soho. That was always the shot, right? We wanted an office in Soho, New York, and that's what we're shooting for, and that's it's getting there. We know we're going to get there one day.
We used to joke around a lot, and say that we're gonna, one day have an architecture firm with all of us. And I think really prior to this actually happening, it really was kind of a dream. But as the work, keeps coming along, and as we keep kind of growing, we participate in these competitions now. It's becoming more of a reality, and that's pretty awesome to me, because it was all of our dreams, and all of a sudden, just because of a little startup and a lot of our hard work together, we're able to do that.
Relating and answering your question, I guess, relating to the economy being bad. The economy is, can be bad all the time. It's really what you make of it. And it's really, if you're putting the time and effort in, you're going to make money in this economy. It has nothing, the stock market plummeted. We're not worrying about stock markets. We're worrying about, getting, there's always stuff being built. The world doesn't never stop building, right? So if you can find the clients to, that know you do the top quality work, they're going to end up using you, right? And also our niche kind of came to where, it sounds messed up, but architecture firms started laying people off, right? I can't afford to hire somebody full-time to sit in my office 40 hours a week to do renderings for me, because that's going to cost me, $600. I feel like I'd rather pay Designblendz $600 to do my rendering and not have to talk to them for a month until I need another one. So it was that niche that caught on, and it was real popular when the economy was still down in the dumps. And it's still popular. People are still, not hiring as much as they could be, right? They're tempted not to, because it's a lot of overhead for them that they have to keep up with. Whereas us, we have very minimal overhead. And we do things, that are enough to support our lives, right? As long as we're paying our bills, we're going to do things that, live within our means.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now. Is that that architects the firms have shrunk, and they're starting to get busy again, and they don't want to hire. They don't want the expenses, and they don't want to take on the responsibility without knowing that this current economy that we're seeing this increase in the economy, that it's real, because we've seen a couple of false starts in the past few years.
Yep.
And that's exactly what's happening with me, is that I've shrunk, and I'm very busy right now, and I have a small staff, and we have too much work, and rather than hiring, we're going to start outsourcing.
Exactly.
And so I think there's a lot of architects in that same place. So you guys are probably crazy busy right now.
Yeah, we're working actively with one firm in Philly now, doing a master plan. So essentially, they come to us, and a lot of older firms too, since they're not hiring new and younger generations. They might not some of the designers don't even know how to use CAD, right? They're old wigs, they're great at what they do, but essentially sometimes we get sketches from architects and they're like, put it in CAD. Okay, well, here's my hourly rate and this is what we'll do it for. And we do a great job, like we're not just, we know how to use CAD and all the programs that are, available to us. So we're going to give them the top quality product because we want their work and we want their reference. We're not going to skimp out on anything just because we can do it for a lower rate or anything. But
so how big is your team right now, and how is the business actually structured? How is it a partnership, or is it owned by one person and then other people work for you?
Yep. So essentially, it's just an LLC. I own it myself, and then the team currently right now consists of myself, Vincent, who probably work pretty much on everything, and then we also have 3 interns at the moment who are actually from Philadelphia University, where we graduated from. So they're learning. They since they're younger, and they've seen us doing stuff and talking about our project and stuff. They want to learn too, and a lot of times the interns are just like, I just want to know what it's like to start a business from scratch. And that's essentially what we did. And we're still growing, right? We're still learning as we go. We don't know everything, and we're fully aware of that. But, they're seeing the marketing side of things. We also have other people too on hand that can do renderings. Scott Murphy is another guy. He's actually up in New York working at an architecture firm, but he's there full time if we need him. Tyler Dye, he works for HDR. And it's one of the top 5 firms in the world. He's down in Virginia, I believe. Yep. So we also have Scott Woodruff. He works here in Philly at Meyer Design. So he can actually do renderings on the side if, at night if need be. So our staff we're pretty full with work. And, when the things come to it, like if I can handle it, great. If not, I'm going to send it out to, whoever can do it quickest. It's more, it's a collaborative effort, really. So.
And everything's virtual. There's no physical office that you're working from.
Oh no, we do have a physical office, and it's actually I work out of my house. it's a setup. I have a desk, computer. I have 2 workstations.
Right, but your team isn't with you.
Oh, not always. No,
you're in your own office, and they're in their own offices, and when you need to, you come together either physically or by internet.
Yep. Exactly, and one of my roommates is actually on the team as well, Scott Woodruff. So he's pretty. He knows what's going on a lot too, but. Yeah, I mean, most, if we have to get together, we will, especially if we get a model building job, then, that's going to bring a lot of people back as well, or on the weekends or at night. So
what's the bulk of your services now? What's the majority of your work?
Right now, I'm surprised what it is, but right now it's a lot of websites. I'm doing a couple websites. I just actually finished one up for a Mexican restaurant in Avalon, New Jersey. It's called tortillaflatsavalon.com. They're, just a small business, and it's a lot of word of mouth too. Like, they saw kind of previous websites I did. They're like, this is awesome. I give them a decent rate, and they're already spreading the word that how great their site was. I just actually got a text message from Jen, who's the daughter of the owner. She was saying that she already has people that want a website from us, so she wanted some of our business cards. I'm working on a website now for architecture firms, for MVP architects out in Warrington, PA. But that's not done yet. They have a lot of projects and stuff that are going on. I also have another website coming up that I'm waiting on the contract that should be here tomorrow from Kingswood Furniture. It's actually a friend of ours who dropped out of architecture school. Long story, but he is actually opening up his own custom woodworking company out in Coatesville, PA. So he's pretty excited about that. And I'm also working actively on a new Designblendz site that's strictly dedicated to our services, but that's kind of under wraps still till we get to it.
We also have a lot of competition work too right now. We've been keeping pretty active, I guess. We're lucky enough to have the intern resources that we do, and they're really talented. And we're lucky to have that. Kind of just following whatever we can, whatever is out there. We try to put our name out there as well. We're pretty confident our work one day can get us recognized in the even in the ranks of some of these bigger firms. We have a lot of great designers on board and a lot of people that can make things look really pretty. So that's the other half of that. Brian said it best. He's not a big fan of being an architect, but he does like the design. He likes to make things look great, and that's why he's great with the sites. And then on the other half of that, we kind of handle the competition things and all the other architecture related things.
What kind of competitions are you doing?
Currently, right now, the one we're working on is for one that we just started is called Create the Workplace of the Future. It's pretty much Metropolis is actually running it, but it's essentially, it's creating a new workplace of the future. I mean, Vince, you want to elaborate more on that one because you're kind of
yeah. It's basically it gives you three scenarios to choose from. Think about the office and the workplace in the future, whether that's going to be in a multinational corporation building, in a home, or just anywhere. Where can this office happen? What kind of amenities are necessary for you to perform, your tasks there? Kind of making it a blanket workspace for anybody. It can range from an architect can use it to an accountant can use it. But it's pretty interesting. It's definitely getting our creative juices flowing.
And also the other competition we're working on too is the San Francisco firehouse from the 1906 fire. So I guess, 1906, a fire burnt down a third of the city. So now they're taking competitions work for a new firehouse to be created. And it's sort of a student / young architect professional competition. So it's not going to be like, Big isn't going to be entering this or Zaha Hadid. It's actually, they're looking for student and young architect entries. So that's actually pretty good. We're pretty confident with our ability on that. We've been working on that one for a few months, so I look forward to seeing that hopefully in the top of the entries we're hoping. So you never know.
And the competitions are all, you do them for PR just to kind of get your name out there?
Yeah, we do them for PR to get our name out there, but also, we're hoping to win. I mean, some of them, like the Firehouse one is, it's an entrance fee, and then, top entries do get prize money from that, so it's also doing it for that sense. The Workplace of the Future is actually free to enter, and I believe they're giving away $7,500 to the winning team.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's, we're doing it for fun too. It keeps the juices flowing because a lot of times when you're working with these firms, we're sitting in CAD for a lot of the stuff. It's not, it's like sitting in our normal office in an architecture firm, right? I'm in CAD doing, CDs or something. Whereas this allows us to keep our creative juices flowing and keep, our design sense growing.
So when you went through your list of services, a lot of those services, I get emails every day from firms from China and South America doing very similar things to what the services that you're providing. How do you compete with those types of companies?
I'll be honest, a lot of people don't want to use those companies. And a lot of times you get what you pay for over there. I mean, I've done my heavy research, and what we're doing is, the renderings that you'd pay for from us, you're not going to pay much more from China, and they're going to look 100 times better. I know personally some of the firms like HDR, they use the Chinese rendering farms to just do their renderings. They'll pay them $200. They send them a drop bulk list of items, and they go over there and come back within 48 hours with a rendering that someone in their second or third year of architecture school could do. And it's a shame. But
we also have we have a personal appeal, I think, and I realize now we do have competition. There are other firms in the country and even in our region that are like us, but we are kind of a very small group of people. We're very reachable, and we have very flexible hours. That's one of our biggest selling points, I guess, coming from school is we've actually made a couple deadlines that need to be done by like the next day. So we do have quite a few things working for us, and we're building our client list and building, hopefully our references are getting bigger and everybody seems to be happy with our work. So I think that we have that to our side, and we do tend to have lower price because we don't have the kind of overhead that some of those render farms may. And I do think, I believe that our images and anything we produce, first of all, it's going to look better for the price you're paying for it. And second of all, if something's wrong, it's almost immediate. You shoot one of us back an email and it'll be revised within the day. Whenever you need it to be.
Yeah.
So do you do active marketing to kind of tell your story so people, so firms who are looking for firms like yours can find you?
Yeah, definitely. We don't tell the full story of how we came to be. That's going to be more on our new website. We're kind of going to have a history section, but we do have, marketing packets we send out. Essentially, we just generate a list. We're working in Pennsylvania, New Jersey mainly. So we generate a list off the AIA website, essentially, to look at all the architecture firms, go through and actually browse them, see what they do. And, if they don't have a nice website, we write a cover letter dedicated to saying, hey, we see you do all this great work, but it's not being showed properly on your website. Maybe you consider an update, or, if you're interested, give us a call. And we've gotten work that way as well. So it's really kind of knowing who you're marketing to, in a sense. We just don't blast the same thing out to everybody. That doesn't work. You're wasting your time. You really got to understand what the firm does, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and try to cater to that.
It's essentially applying for a job. I mean, that's how we've looked at it. A lot of us, we realized we did have to apply for a job towards the end of school. We were actually simultaneously working on, cover letters for these companies for Designblendz. We were catering each cover letter to, we were taking the time to research what they needed and we were sending out physical packs, whereas, you may experience, you get some emails from some of these firms out there that do the same thing we do, and they're mass produced. We are trying to personalize them. That's what we really like to do. We like to get to know our clients, and we like to have that kind of relationship with them.
Yep. So what type of marketing are you using? Are you using social media and email and any direct, and direct mailing kind of stuff?
Yep, we're doing all that, actually. We're using social media, pretty much Facebook, Twitter, and then we're also kind of starting a YouTube thing. We actually recently got into animations, 3D animations, so we're hoping that kind of kicks up and that kind of brings more people in. Our physical mailers consist pretty much of a folder that, it's custom folders made. We have inserts for those folders, and then on the one side is like a business card / their personal cover letter that we all type up to them. And then we mail them in a nice envelope it's almost, I guess it would be like a 10 by 12 envelope, one of the manila ones, something bigger, but it's just a white manila envelope with like our logo on it, and then, custom typed out to them. So it's like, it's more personal when you get something that's not just like an envelope or like a flyer in the mail. It's something that you're opening, you're interacting with. Like the coolest thing I'll tell you is when I sent one to this firm up in Warrington for this website we're working on, and they call me in, they're like, all right, come up to the office, and I see our folder just chilling on the principal's desk, open with like our flyer out. It's the greatest feeling. It's like, it worked, it hit, and all it takes for, all these marketing resources, it takes one person to say, okay, we'll use you for rendering, and it pays for itself. So at the end of the day, it becomes worth it.
Yeah.
And we're starting now. We're kind of, as Brian was saying, we're working on a new website strictly dedicated to what we do service-wise. And we're kind of starting to shift now, kind of putting it more as, we're here almost as like your, I guess, assistant, or, it's not necessarily the right word, but I was telling Brian what we really do is we're trying to help you tell your story.
Yeah.
That's what we're really interested in, as he was saying, with these new animations that we've really been trying to nail down and get right, because we can provide these things for a reasonable cost, and it's helping the architect not only produce something that's valuable for the client, but it's helping their work shine in the best way, which is then positively affecting the field. Better designs are coming out, they're being shown the better lights.
Yeah, and it's also, too, we're going to be getting into marketing packages that we can do for individual firms as well. Like, hey, we'll do your website, we'll update your logos, we'll get everything, your project's looking right. And even helping some firms, like this one firm in Warrington, they're actually going to be using us to do like presentation design, essentially, for jobs. So they'll send us all their stuff and say, hey, can you make it look pretty? And that's what we're good at. We can put it into a cohesive layout that'll shine for their clients. So
what's your plan for the future? How are you going to ultimately get that studio in Soho?
Okay, so I mean, right now we're growing the business. Essentially, I'm actually working on my realtor's license. That's what I'm doing now. We're actually going to start. We've always talked about it, but I mean, my goal for this company is to keep the services growing. But I personally myself want to get into real estate and flipping houses. So that's kind of the next thing, is actually, starting to look at properties, starting to get, start renting properties and generating a fixed income into the business as well, almost like a sub LLC to Designblendz itself. Mm-hmm. So we can start to hopefully, I can pay Vince full time to work with me. Then I don't have to. I can only pay him, when we get jobs.
Right.
So essentially, starting to grow little by little that way, but staying within the architectural discipline.
And I think that's kind of where it's nice to have. We have a very wide variety of talents on this team, and having Brian kind of do that, it might enable us to spend more time or more money trying to go after either more competitions, more rendering work, even trying to find our own design jobs. And it's going to continue to grow. We essentially are looking at this as just the beginning of the process. it's a very slow process, and it's sometimes it looks like it's impossible, but we've been pretty good at maintaining that. We're growing, and we have these goals down at the end of the line, and I think that office in Soho is going to come along eventually.
Hopefully it's in Soho and in Cal. Hopefully you have a couple.
That's right.
Yeah.
One in each major city.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I just went blank. Traditional practice. I mean, you guys went to architecture school. You graduated. Do you imagine that eventually Designblendz will do traditional architecture as well, where you do buildings?
Personally, we have the capabilities to do that now. There's so many ways. I don't want to say around it, so I don't want to look like taking a shortcut. But we have confidence that we can do the documentation to design a residential house. I have so much faith in my team that it's we can be done. We're actually we have one coming up. It's going to be our first test. We have a 2-car garage addition to a residential home. It's coming up, so we're gonna find out real quick. But the thing that worries me is like, okay, I can't stamp the drawing. Well, there's people I can go to, $400 or $500. They'll stamp it. They'll look it over. There's architects that do that, and it sounds shady, but at the end of the day, I don't have the liability, and they do.
Yeah. Well, in order to do that, you kind of work in tandem with that architect,
exactly,
and then you can do that above board.
Yep.
If you just go and do all the work and then have somebody stamp it, that's illegal.
Yeah. No, it's not that, but yes, we have architects that we can work with.
Exactly. You can work with them and exactly. You can oversee what you're doing.
Yep.
One of the things that I've thought about in the past, and I haven't written any blog posts on it, but I've tweeted about it a couple of times, is students coming out of architecture school, starting their own firms like you guys have, and then hiring licensed architects to work for you. That's and then do your IDP using them as your mentors.
Oh, definitely.
And then you don't have to work for anybody. You guys can come right out of architecture school, and I think students should be doing this all over the country. Coming out of architecture school, starting your own firms right off the bat.
Yep.
Doing consulting for other architects, and eventually build enough business where you can hire somebody full time and have an architect on your staff. I don't know if that's possible, but I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
No, that's definitely not in the not out of the realm. We've talked about that. We've thought about that. It's always been like, okay, some of us are going to go get licenses. We're going to come back and start this collaboration and keep growing more. But I feel like I have to start even before then. I feel I'm going to have to hire an architect before Vince is even licensed. It's going to get to that point where we get that job that comes in and says, all right, we got we got 3 row homes. Can you design them? Of course. I'm going to tell the client, of course. I'll meet with you next week, and within 3 days, I'm going to have an architect hired. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So
and then you could hire Vincent full time, and he could go through IDP with this new guy.
Exactly.
Or girl.
That's what the goal is. That's what we want to do. We understand that we still have quite a ways to climb right now, but like you said, there's a lot of ways to do this, and it's just right now we kind of have to settle for what we need to do right now, which is pay some bills, and Designblendz is supplementing a little bit of what we need to do that, but essentially since it's still growing, we kind of need to rely on other means. But the goal one day is just to completely transfer over from there, and I think it's a good idea if you have a bunch of friends, you're really good friends, and you stick together through it. It's a possibility for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted you guys on the podcast is because I wanted to get this message out that there's other ways of doing what we do.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. You don't have to do architecture school, get your internship, take your exam, work for somebody. You can do it any way you want to do it. You just find a way to do it.
Yep.
And I'll be straight up. The thing for me, it's, they say it's not about the money, but at the end of the day it is. And it's sad to hear what some of my friends kind of came out of school and what they're being offered from architecture firms. It's terrible. I can go and be a waiter down the street from where I am and make more money. It's terrible. And it's a shame that students need to go through that, sit and, make $36,000 a year and try to get their license to hopefully make $80,000 when they have their own firm. It's terrible.
Yep.
And that's the thing where I was like, there's got to be another way, and we started it.
And kind of going off that too. I mean, there, like you said, there's other ways to do things. We're not strictly, and we're finding this out now more and more. We're not strictly architectural. We learn so much in school. We can be graphic designers, we can be industrial designers, be interior designers. We have such a long list of talents on this team, as I've said before. So we have gotten into those situations where we are a graphic designer and where we are, doing web design. And we even, we've been working with apps for our website, just kind of messing around with new things, new technologies, learning new things, because sometimes you need to rely on those other things to get your other foot in the door. But I think what's important is always stay true to what you are. And we love design. We love, making things look great, and we love, having presentability factor, and everything we do carries that motto through.
Yeah, I mean, I've always even thought about it too sometimes. What if we were just an all-purpose stop design firm, not just architecture, but we have an industrial design staff, we have a fashion design staff. What if their Designblendz was an entity that did it all? And then, we had subdivisions that, it wouldn't be a team of 5, it would be a team of 500 people. I hope it could get to that point. I really do.
Yeah, it absolutely can go there. You just have to plan it and go there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be one of those episodes that people are going to want to listen to, because you guys have done what a lot of architecture students dream of doing. And I think there's a lot of recently graduated architects that coming out of architecture school who are in complete panic mode right now.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people ask me for jobs. I've had people my year, people below me, you got anything for me? I mean,
so what, what's your advice, some tips on how to do what you did?
Find a group of friends that you're really close with, kind of like we did. We were lucky enough, as Brian said, we have some of the best people we think in our class represented in our group. So we were lucky to have that. But find friends that you are, close with, that you can work well with, and set a goal and just go there. We set this thing started out as just I think it actually originally was going to be a social site for architects. And, there's already those out there. So it's going to be a blog site, but there's already those out there. So it just kept kind of transforming and eventually became this service thing, and it's going to grow past that as we continue to grow. But you need to realize that everything is kind of like a marathon. You're not going to get there if you sprint at the beginning. You need to pace yourself, and you need to realize that you're not going to make it all in one night.
Yeah, we learned that. We tried. Remember, I mean, the blog was a great hit, and then we laxed off because we couldn't keep it going. If we had just put out one article a week, we might have even gained more followers. I guess my advice would be, after kind of running a whole crew of mine and stuff, it's don't. My advice is you can't give up. You just can't. I mean, if you stop, if you get irritated, there's days when I sit here in the office and I'm like, wow, I haven't gotten a call from anybody all week, and then finally a week later, I get an email, okay, we got this job. So now, then that covers us for a few months, right? So it's always, don't let yourself down. You always got to keep thinking positive. If you have negative energy about yourself, your company's not going to do anything, and you're not going to ever get to where you want to be in life. Stay positive with what your goal is, and you'll achieve it.
Excellent. So, what's the best way for people who are listening to contact you guys?
Sure.
And either say thanks, or even if they have some work for you, to contact you.
Yeah, I mean, anything you can send pretty much info@designblendz.com will get to me and my staff, or you can send it personally to myself, Brian@designblendz.com, or if you want to email Vince, you can email Vince@designblendz.com. Maybe check out our site. I mean, we like our site, but there's some changes we're going to be making in the near future. Our new website is going to be db-serve.com. I guess I can release that. Hopefully, it'll be complete by the time this podcast goes out. But we're a dedicated staff of people that love what we do, and we're going to do it at the most affordable rate for anybody out there. So
yeah, we really pride ourselves on making sure that everybody's happy with what we give them. Even if there's like a line that's in the wrong place, we've gone back and changed things. It's ridiculous, but it's how you keep a client happy, which then gets you word of mouth. And ultimately, for me, I know for Brian, he's more of our money guy, and for me, I guess I'm more of the design. I really think it's important that when you have something that's designed that you spend all that time, it's shown in the best light, and I think that we have possibility to do that for anybody. So
I mean, my greatest thing that I say to my clients, and they agree, is like, we can't afford to fail. And I know it's like, there's always opportunity for failure, but we can't, because our reputation and our line of work depends on it. If you give us a model job and we don't, pull through, for one, we lose all the money that you gave us up front, and two, you're not going to do business with us, and you're not going to tell anybody to do business with us. So we can't fail. It's essentially what it comes down to.
Yep. I think Vincent had a very good point that Brian is the business guy, and that it's great to have a bunch of students who want to start a business, and everybody's creative and everybody wants to go gung-ho and be successful. But if there's 5 designers and there's no business guy, that's not going to work. I
mean, there was an architecture collaborative, right? Wasn't it what's the name of it, right? That they were all worried about design, and no one cared if the lights were paid, if the electric bill was paid, and they're not in business, right?
So if there are students out here who want to do what you guys did, even if they're not an architect, go find a business guy. Find somebody who is into what you want to do and understands how business works, and get him on the team or her on the team, or go out and learn that stuff yourself, and find somebody who likes to do that kind of stuff and make that person part of your team as well.
I mean, I'll be honest, I never anticipated, liking that stuff. I mean, I had, family members that own businesses and restaurants and things, but never, I was like, I want to be an architect. I want to do drawings and make buildings. Okay. I did it, and I don't like it. So, but I love the profession so much to where I found that, business was, dealing with clients and writing up the contracts and, the legal things. That's like what I enjoy most. I enjoy when I sit and I struggle on a piece of paper. I know it sounds terrible. When I sit and look at a piece of paper and try and crunch numbers for an hour and a half, figuring out what the best possible price I can get for one of our services is. And then when the client goes, oh yeah, that's a fair price, or, negotiating with them, that's really what I enjoy. So.
And I like giving them a pretty picture. That's why I really like it.
You guys make a great team.
So.
All right. Well, thanks guys for being here. I think this has been incredibly inspiring. I think there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of students and a lot of emerging professionals, even, experienced architects, kind of listening to what you guys did and will be inspired to go out and do it themselves. So thanks for being with me today. And
thank you.
And just one other quick thing. Are you guys on Twitter?
We are. Designblendz.
At Designblendz.
Yep.
And it's DESIGNBLENDZ.
Yeah, the Z.
Yes.
The Z is very important.
Yeah. Okay. So Designblendz with a Z.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being with me tonight.
Thank you.
Mark.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So what are you waiting for? What's your dream? It doesn't matter how old you are or the situation in which you find yourself. If you want something, the way to get there is to make a plan and go there. I hope you found this episode interesting, informative, and inspiring. And if you liked what you heard, please click over to entrearchitect.com/iTunes and give the podcast a star rating. And if you want to leave me a review and tell me what you think of the podcast, I'd be grateful for that too. Before I sign off, I want to remind you that hundreds of architects and design pros have already subscribed to the Entrepreneur Architect Report. That's my free weekly newsletter. Each week, I share a personal story about me, my firm, or my family, and I include links to the most recent articles and to some really great resources. So, if you think the Entrepreneur Architect Report is something that you would find interesting, click over to entrearchitect.com/newsletter and subscribe today. I promise it'll be worth your time. So that's it for this episode. Until next time, my name is Mark R. LePage, and I am an entrepreneur architect. Thanks for listening.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gable Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gable Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gable Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gable Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark Arlepage, founder of Entre Architect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.